the intro, right?
Sure. What episode are we at?
195.
195? Okay, sure. 3, 2, 1. Welcome to Nintendo Dads episode 195, recorded today, September 7th, 2018. On tonight's episode, it's just the three of us, and we're going to chat about, well, a little bit of potentially a Nintendo Direct that didn't occur, but maybe some things that occurred around it, plus what games we've been playing, and a huge amount of community spotlight. That and so much more. Okay, actually, really not a whole lot more. That's kind of the way the show works. We have well, you know how this works. Anyways, as always, and as it always works, Jesse, just cue the music.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Nintendo Dads episode 195. My name is Marty Estes, and tonight I am here and ready to talk about some Nintendo news with two of the most fantastic guys on the internet. And yes, I did say Nintendo Dabs there at the very beginning. That's for all you cool kids out there. Maybe we'll change the name for episode 200. I don't know. But speaking of changing his name, maybe not changing his name, but I don't know. A little while ago, he changed his place of residence. Justin Masson from over in Ireland. How are you, buddy?
Doing all right. Good morning. It's great to kind of now be back in a little bit of a routine. This is now the second appearance or episode I've been on in a row, so it means I'll probably be absent now for about 3 months. But it's great to be back. I woke up to some exciting news of Mega Man 11 demo being available and the hype around that, and yeah, it's been fantastic. So lots to unbundle, but yet at the same time not. So that's good. Speaking of man who's never too scared to unbundle, that's the worst segue I've ever come up with. I don't know where I was going with that one.
I don't know where that's going to go either.
I don't know. It's some days they're gold, some days they are just a pile of not gold. Jesse Waldak, who is our pile of gold. Is that better? I don't know. I feel like
I think you redeemed yourself a little bit.
Is it? Because I feel like my footing's not there. Like there's a groove not there. I don't know. Either which way, buddy. How are you doing today?
Good. Let's talk about dabbing. Whenever I use a term that my daughter uses that she doesn't want me to use, she always just says that she's disappointed in me.
Yeah, I think so, right? Like, I mean, at what point do we as dads get to like where it's no longer cool? Like we can't say those type of things.
You know, I've reached that, and I don't know. Yeah. It's happened sometime in the last 6 months. Like I'll do something, and I will notice my daughter's eyes rolling.
Right.
I think it happens around.
My son is oblivious. He doesn't care.
Yeah, I think it happens around your daughter's age, and it doesn't get any better when they get older. But you learn to not care, and you do it anyway.
Yeah. When you can actually hear the eye roll, that's a feat. Do you know what I mean? Like you're like,
exactly.
Wow, I heard
like
that.
You can hear it in their voice, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. We've also reached the stage at my house where it's gross to kiss. Like if my wife and I, you know, like we'll be cooking or doing something like that in the kitchen, she'll be cooking dinner, and I'll come by and you know grab her and give her a kiss or something, or we'll dance a little bit.
Yeah.
She's like, ew, gross. And I'm like, you're not going to think this is gross one of these days.
But for now, you should forever until I'm dead. Yeah. Well, I'd make the argument, and I think that we're pretty cool. Like, I think we're pretty cool dads. Like, Marty, I'm looking behind you. You've got Legos and you've got a bunch of Nintendo stuff. We're all big video game geeks. Like, I think we're cool dads. But maybe that's the problem. The moment you think you're a cool dad, you're no longer a cool dad. Do you know what I'm saying? A little bit of Inception?
No, I don't think that at all. Because I think the moment that you try to be the cool dad,
right,
that's when you're not.
Yeah. Sometimes I deliberately try and be super uncool in front of my daughter's friends, just to deliberately embarrass her. Like, you know, hey,
and that is the right answer.
Yeah, right. And it's like, so this is how you dab, right? Is this the move? You know, or sing along to some of the worst songs in the world that are currently on a pop list as loud as I can. Yeah. That's I like to embarrass my kids. You know what's not an embarrassment though? Let me tell you what's not an embarrassment. The amazing amount of artwork we've been receiving lately, gentlemen.
Oh man.
Man, we are at a plethora of stuff coming to us. Of course, this is from all of our amazing fans here. And why are we receiving artwork again, Marty? I can't remember. I love going to the inbox and being like, look at this amazing artwork. Why are we doing that
Well,
again?
Justin, we're receiving all of this artwork because we are currently in the midst of running a contest, our first T-shirt contest. I was going to say our first contest,
community
but it's
T-shirt.
not.
Community T-shirt. Yeah, I love it.
So we're asking you as listeners to build the community T-shirt. You can Photoshop it, you can draw it, you can put it together however you want. But basically, what you're doing is you're designing a T-shirt to represent the Nintendo Dads community that we are going to produce and sell for all of you to go and buy. And if you are tell them what they get if their design wins.
Well, first things first. If their design wins, they get, of course, a print of the T-shirt, right? You have designed said T-shirt. We are going to be using this, and the ability to gloat and say the community T-shirt for 2018 is my design. I design. You can walk. You'll be at conferences or maybe walking on the street. People are wearing your shirt. You're like, wow, that is a slick shirt. I made that shirt. So first, pride. Pride is number one. Two, a free T-shirt. Those are both fantastic. But of course, we like to give. We like to give more. We like to be better than every other podcast. I think we are. Humble brag, hashtag. However, what we're going to do is we're also going to give them a new, still unboxed 2DS. It's just 2DS now, right? It's not an XL.
2DS
It is an XL.
Is it? Of course, Nintendo, their naming conventions. And what kind is it? What kind of? I mean, Jesse, you've got it at your house. What is it specifically?
It's the Hylian Shield Edition 2DS XL.
Shield Edition 2DS XL. That was a hot commodity. People love that one, and it is a slick looking 2DS. So you get all of that. You get all of that. It's amazing. And you know what? All they have to do is design a T-shirt and send it to us. We've seen just logos come in. They're like, this is the thing I'd like printed. Boom, fantastic. No worries. That's great. That's enough for us. We've had other people reach out saying, hey, can we get some? Can I borrow some of your art, or can I use them? Absolutely. And Marty, we are running this contest for another 2 weeks. September 21st. Is when we hope to have all of them in. What we're going to do, then we're going to put these pictures up on a poll. People are going to vote. The number one wins. It's that simple. It is literally that simple.
And when Justin says we're going to put them on a poll, they're literally going to be on a pole, held up high enough for everyone, all of our listeners in the world to see.
Mm-hmm.
So
you may need to use your binoculars.
So not a pike, but a pole.
Exactly. Yeah, we're actually just going to put it across the street at my house in Ireland. So you have to come to Ireland to look at them on a pole. But while you're here, stop in for a cup of tea, and we'll have a bit of a gaming session. I think that will be.
Hey, I'd love that.
I know you would. It'd be awesome, wouldn't it?
I would love that. We'll just come visit.
Yeah, I've got a spare bed here. People can hang out. It's awesome.
Very cool. Hey, you know what else is really cool?
Nintendo?
Yep, that and news about Nintendo. So let's get right into that, shall we?
Let's do that, shall we?
Our news tonight is brought to us by us. And what we mean is over at patreon.com/Nintendo Dads. You can go over there, and for as little as $1 a month, you can support us and become a patron of the show, where you're going to get such things as pre and post audio at certain levels. You're going to get access to the Discord. You're going to get entered into giveaways and all kinds of other stuff. You can even be a producer on the show and get to come and guest at certain times. And we want to thank every single one of you patrons for doing that. We're now over 100 patrons strong, supporting us. And guys, like, just saying that, Jesse, just saying that, Justin, like over 100 people support us a month. That blows my mind. That people just enjoy what we do. But really, that's like, I think it's indicative of the time and effort that we've spent trying to build the community we build.
I remember when we first found out we had 100 listeners, we were impressed.
Yeah, no, this is great. Well, you know what? And I mean, it's you talk a little bit of navel gazing for a second here. I mean, we are actually coming up to 4 years. We are very close to being officially a podcast for 4 years. Episode 200 coming up, and our community has always supported us in every single way. I truly believe we are nothing without this community. And the feedback we receive, whether it's requested feedback from our Patreon folk, we actually have a feedback channel where we ask for a lot of things to make our content better, or the random email that just comes in and says, like, A, this works, or B, this sucks, has helped us to get where we are. And we are so thankful for everything our community does. So that's my blush and love for our community, but always fantastic people.
Absolutely, absolutely. And again, thanks for everything. Thanks for all the emails, all the voicemails, all the calls, or well, the calls, that's voicemails, right? All the tweets, the likes on Instagram and everything else. You guys are amazing, and we could not do this without you, and that's why we do what we do. So let's dive into some news.
Can I? Speaking of news, sorry, I need to stop right now. I need to stop right now. This news. Congratulations, Balewick Videos, who is in our YouTube channel right now. He says, "Hey guys, I'm about to become a Nintendo dad in a few days. Very excited."
No way.
Yeah, congratulations, Balewick Videos. Hopefully
Very
everything goes fantastic. Send us an email when you officially become the Nintendo dad. Until then, get the hell out of our room. Like, you're not an official member. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. That is very exciting and fantastic. Awesome. Congratulations. We are, big congrats. That's awesome. Sorry, I bumped your segue, but you know what? When you hear someone like this person coming in, that's awesome.
That's okay. And you know, hey, welcome to the club. Welcome to the club. And looking forward, I look forward, and I know we do, you know, as dads who have been there, to what you're going to get to experience in a few years, you know, like playing a game with your child for the first time. Really
and
cool thing.
Complete lack of sleep you're going to have in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, I'm not looking forward to that for you. Yeah. So let's just get into some news, shall we? So guys, today we were supposed to get a Nintendo Direct, right? It was supposed to air at 5 p.m. local my time. For some people, it was going to be middle of the night. It was going to be a worldwide Nintendo Direct, right? It was all going to coincide, all regions at the same time. And we woke up to news this morning that we didn't. Now, let's talk about that for just a minute. The reason that we did not get a Nintendo Direct today, and you guys might need to pull me down off my soapbox in a minute, but I'm going there. The reason we did not get a Nintendo Direct today was because there was a massive earthquake in Hokkaido, Japan today. 6.7 earthquake. The last I read this evening, 7 people at least dead, dozens missing, businesses and all kinds of stuff thrown out. And there's been varying reports, right? Like I saw tweets where people were like, walked outside and my sidewalk was sunk into the ground, but the boss said, come on into work. And then there were people who were saying, we're completely without power. We can't get out of our house. The road's completely mudded over. So, you know, there's all kinds of stuff going on over there. And so Nintendo absolutely made the 100% right decision not to run a Nintendo Direct today. I'm going to say this, and I'm going to say it as gracefully as I can. There are people on the internet who complained and moaned and whined and groaned and griped and shot pot shots and made snarky comments and jokes all day long at Nintendo's expense and at the Japanese people's expense. And in the kindest way we here at Nintendo Dads can say this: if that is you and you have done that, your internet card is revoked. You need to get off the internet for a little while and go outside and reclaim what humanity you have left. I'm sorry.
Wow.
Like
I don't, you know, here's the thing.
Yeah, I don't disagree, but what you put it a lot harsher but better than I could have ever put it.
Yeah, it's a little bit like, you know, hashtag real talk. This was the first thing that I saw. So I got the news at like 8 a.m. my time. So that, you guys were still asleep. So I put a quick tweet out and I said, like, hey, this is absolutely right to delay it. You know, again, like, let's think about this, people. We're excited about like video games, okay? Like, which is good, right? We're excited about that. But there is a real life. There are real people. There are lives and humanity in play, right? So for them to say, hey, we're delaying this, right? And it wasn't, you know, we're going to delay it. Absolutely right call. You 100% need to. People, you know, that's that. Yeah, yes, right? We all agree as good people. If you don't agree with me right now, you just stop your head and like up and down that you understand with me that this is a good thing. But the first thing that came out of my mind was, I agree that you delayed it. You are going to get backlash. I hate the internet. Why are people jerks? Let's see if we can temper this. Like it was an already connect the dots. And I just retweeted out or retweet with a comment. And I said, this is absolutely right to delay it. Now, internet, take a breath, calm down, basically. and think before you speak, because this is so much bigger than video games. And it was, you know, I put down hashtag dad chat essentially, right? But like, and here's the nice part. I will say, and if you go into like the actual tweet that Nintendo sent out, whether it was from the UK channel or whether it was from America, that's where you'll see the body of comments. And 75% to 80% are absolutely thoughts and prayers, and hopefully things go well. And it's just video games, and that's like, oh, thank gosh, yes, internet. Right now, you're not being a jerk. And then there's the one person, right, or two people in there who are just. And sometimes it's like you know, even if you're trying to be like, hey, I'm the funny guy who's just trolling us. Guess what? It doesn't look funny. You look like this is a family show, so you look like a bad person.
What I noticed today is that the longer the day rolled on, the more that sentiment came out. Mm-hmm, like the longer people had to sit on it, like the more I saw, well, why couldn't they have given us a direct today? If people in Japan were saying it wasn't that bad. People died.
Yeah.
People died. And if you're more concerned about a 35-minute broadcast of some video games you'll buy in a year or however long than you are about people's lives, then it's time for you to go outside for a while.
Yeah.
And listen, I love every one of our listeners. Patron, not we. You know, we know how many listeners we have. We know how that compares, you know, comparatively to Patreon and all kinds of things like that. And so I'm not saying this to make you mad, and I'm not saying this to like be like, don't ever listen to Nintendo Dads again. I'm saying this to get you to think about what matters. Mm-hmm. Okay? Because I love video games. And when I got up this morning and I saw this, I said, man, that sucks. But then I started to read about what happened.
Yeah.
And then I was like, okay, I get it. I
think that's a segue conversation about just how we deal with parenting in general, right? Because this is, I mean, in a lot of ways, how the internet reacts is how a young child reacts who doesn't get what they want, right? And I think it's that conversation that we need to have of, you know, whatever was going to occur in that Nintendo Direct is not worth, you know, is the weight of it is not the same. Do you know what I mean? Like, and we can say comments like, yeah, that's disappointing, right? Yeah, that's, you know, gee, I was hyped and now my hype is tempered. But the humanity of the situation is what the conversation needs to be around. Like, you can say, you know, you can say to my daughter, right? Like, hey, I was really excited for that movie to come out, and by the way, now we can't go down to the movie because the movie theater burnt down. You're gonna use it as an example, right?
Sure.
And you're like, no, I can absolutely understand why you're excited about it, and I can definitely understand why you're now disappointed about it. However, right, they had to shut the movie theater down so that people were safe, right? And so it's the acknowledgement of, yes, I understand you're disappointed. We understand
seeing the big picture versus just your own narrow view.
It's getting that outside of the I guess it's the, like, there was nothing in that Direct that was going to impact or save the world, right? In anything that you did, right? But to stop and make sure that people are okay and safe, and the humanity of it. And I think sometimes, and I think it's a little bit, and a spin off and a little bit of a dad conversation here, but I think as we become more and more connected with the internet, more connected with social media, we begin, and information flows so quickly, we begin to lose the humanity sometimes of who we are. And I think, and even like online personas of like, hey, I'm on the internet and it doesn't matter what I say, or I can say these things. Words still hurt, right? Things that you say, whether they were from your lips or from your fingers, can still hurt someone, and it can be very disrespectful and can speak of the character of who you are. And if someone, you know, like if I had to pull this tweet up in front of your mom or your dad, do you think they'd be very happy with what you said?
Or future employer.
Or future employer, right? And I think it's a reality around some of those things, and I don't like, there's a lack of sometimes a lack of maturity, I think, in regards to the internet. And of course, you know, and I think it's challenging to, what I'm seeing more is, I guess I should say here, is I'm seeing more of maturity over time, but there are still those kind of pockets of hate, and people are going to do that. People are going to be there. The entitlement I hear from some things, but I don't know. I think it's an opportunity to sit down as a parent, have those conversations. I think it's an opportunity for people to just, you know, I don't know. I'm trying to bring some logic to this.
The difference in reaction of my son, who is 11 and has special needs, and I include that because the reaction of some people online who would probably claim themselves to be normal was completely different, right? I told him, hey man, there's a Nintendo Direct tomorrow. It's at 5 o'clock. Maybe we can watch it together, right? Because I usually watch it at work and then I'll show him, and I'll just sit there and grin at him the whole time, like waiting for his reaction, right? To see, like, oh, watch this. Well, this time, you know, I woke up and I was like, hey man, they're not going to show a Nintendo Direct today. Why? Well, because there was an earthquake in Japan and some people died and some people got hurt, and Nintendo wanted to be respectful and not do that. And his reaction was, oh, okay.
Yeah.
You know, it wasn't like the thing that blew my mind that I started to see through the day was the argument of, well, other companies are releasing information and now that's going to spoil the Direct. Who cares?
Yeah.
You know, Nintendo is at its heart. We've talked about this on before, and it's a double-edged sword, right? Nintendo is at its heart a Japanese company. This hit the motherland, this hit homeland, and they are, you know, I don't know that it necessarily, like, the rumors are out that it has something to do with the game, you know, in there or whatever, kind of like the Death Road to Canada situation or whatever, when the shooting happened in Toronto.
Sure.
But here's what I think. I don't think it was anything more than Nintendo said, this hit us at our heart, and we are doing this to be respectful to the people who are closest to us.
Absolutely.
And you know what? Just deal with it. I mean,
and again,
it already seems like it's just going to be a week.
Yeah, and
it's okay.
And here's the thing I would say. I mean, and we're going to move off this topic relatively quickly here, because or else we're going to spend the entire show talking about it. Yeah. But here's the thing I would say, and all of your statements are right, Marty. We are speaking to a minority, right? Our audience, the majority, right? If not 100% of them, I would expect to be in that realm of logical, feeling human beings, right? So we are definitely talking to the minority of people. I don't want to exacerbate the situation, make it sound like it's like everyone thought this. It is a small minority, but it is that minority that you just shake your head at times and get frustrated with. So
yeah, and understand again, and we'll close up here and we'll move on. Like, I'm saying what I'm saying because I'm frustrated, and I'm frustrated because, you know, this is a community. This is my hobby. This is my community. This is what I love. This is what I do. You know, this is like I've found a home in a video game in the community of video gaming, right? And so it's hard for me to see the darkness of that, you know, sometimes. And when I do see it, it's totally emphasized, right? Because there's tons of people, like you said, who were saying it's okay, take your time, we get it, it's disappointing, but we understand all these things. But then you've got, you know, one or two bad apples, you know, that spoil the whole thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so I just think that, you know, with anything like this, temper your expectations. You know, like I think you said this, it's not going to affect your life if this Direct didn't come out today.
Yeah. Right? Like the reality of it was, and let's put this in place, 48 hours ago, you didn't know this existed.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? Like it's the hype cycle that gets, you know, it's the, you know, it's going from what I would call, like, you know, a moderate expectation of like, hey, maybe there's a Direct, like a 10% to a Direct has been confirmed. And now like everyone's hype level of excitement is, we're at 120%. It's a 35-minute Direct. Let's speculate everything. Like it is the internet cycle, and we are victims of it as well, right? Like I put out a video of like, hey guys, it's 35 minutes. What do you expect? Like you build expectation, you build these peaks and valleys of hype, and then when all of a sudden that's like, you know, you're kind of at this top of your range of like, here we go, people, and then for it to be taken away, that energy, that time, that energy, that thought has nowhere to go. But the reality is like, it should, you know, you just need to be like, oh, okay, well, let's just bring it back down. So instead of like, hey, the hype cycle is now a day or 24 hours, it's now, maybe it's a week, right? So but there's that kind of peak suddenly that people don't understand what to do with. And instead of the humanity of like, yeah, you know what, that's unfortunate. you take care of yourself. It's a now like I'm so excited. I need to vocalize something and I need to express something, and that expression comes out as being a big bad person. We need to find a beep button. By the way, we need to find something that we can just cover my mouth when I say a bad word here. And I think exactly.
There it is.
Yeah. And I think, and I'm not justifying it. But again, 48 hours ago you didn't know it existed, and nothing in your life was different. This earthquake changed people's lives. It was different. You need to.
Some of them forever.
Yep.
Yeah. And just because the announcement's a week late doesn't mean what's coming out will be any later than it already would be anyway. And in fact, things that would have been out today are still out today.
Yeah,
that's true. Let's talk about a few of those. Okay, let's move on.
Let's segue
before Justin says a bad word. Here's what we do know that may have been in this Nintendo Direct. It was caught earlier today on one of Nintendo's sites, maybe Nintendo UK or Nintendo of America, that Yoshi for Switch now has a supposed title, and that title is Yoshi's Crafted World, which I guess is, continuing the Yoshi's Woolly World, Yoshi's Crafted World type theme that they've been doing with Yoshi games so far. I think this kind of gives us a little bit of an idea about, and this is just my theory, why this game has been delayed. But I want to know what you guys think. I mean, there's not much to go on here. It's just a title, but do you like the title? Do you are you okay with that? Or
I like the title. I don't think there's anything wrong with it. I think it continues the Woolly World kind of, I guess, universe, I guess is the best word I can use there, that's being created around Yoshi. I really quite like it. I suspect it was delayed or pushed into 2018, I think, because there were some other games that got bumped ahead of it that began to bolster out this 2018 cycle. And I think the idea was that it may have got lost in the cycle. I think when you look at games like Pokemon Go, you've got Smash, you've got Super Mario Party, you've obviously got Xenoblade coming up this month as well. I think when you look at that lineup, something has to get moved, right, developmentally. And I think for probably what Nintendo was doing is, I use the term putting aces in their places, right? How do we create a stellar lineup? And I think they did that. So I think they moved Yoshi into 2019. I think it's a good working title. Now, I am unlike everyone else. I don't think it was delayed for Labo support, and I hope it wasn't delayed for Labo support, because I don't want to see Labo jammed into this game.
See, that's exactly why I think it was delayed.
I see, and I respect that you have that opinion, but I truly believe you're an idiot and you're wrong. I'm just kidding, Marty. I do believe you're. I really don't think they're going to do it, Marty. And I know the aesthetic, but I don't know how they would do it. So maybe help me walk me through it, Marty. How would they do it?
See, here's the thing. I don't know how they would do it. I don't, and I chatted back and forth with a couple of guys on the Discord server earlier today about this. The possibility of small builds that would function like characters or function like different elements in the map, or something like this. Or maybe the idea was brought up of one giant build that you get to by the time you finish the game. You've built something big, but I want to be clear. I don't like that idea, because then I've got this giant like Yoshi world sitting in my living room, and what do I do with that, right? What do I do then? But here's the thing: this whole crafted thing, this whole idea of crafting, the whole idea of it looking like cardboard and paper and things folded up and glued together. It just, to me, it's way too obvious. It screams Labo, and but when it got delayed, my question to you is this: when Yoshi got delayed, did we know about Labo?
Yes.
Okay.
We did, because Labo's announcement would have been, sorry, let me just think this out here. But Labo got announced at the end of January. We got our kits in April. We were expecting to hear about Yoshi at
E3.
At E3, and then it was delayed. Okay. So so timeline wise, and correct me if I'm wrong, anyone in the chat.
You're good. No, I think that's right. Labo kit number 1.
Yeah.
Labo kit number 2.
Right.
We're about to drop Labo kit number 3.
Okay. Yep.
And the last 2 came in a pair, right?
Mm-hmm.
So is the next Labo kit a bundle with Yoshi's Crafted World and everything that you need to play the game.
So so here's a couple things. So let me say this. I see your point. I do. I can logically put the connections. I feel like it's too on the nose, and I also believe that Nintendo seems to be building a Labo world a little bit separate of mainstream content, but looking for connective tissue. The word I would use there is connective tissue to mainstream content, and we see that through the DLC or the patches for Mario Kart 8, right? Like I think when you get into that realm of like, hey, here's the game, and by the way, you have to have the Labo kit. I really hope they don't do that. I really think they're creating separate streams here. They're creating a Labo stream. They're creating a main. Like, I think they're different audiences. I think they can definitely cross, but I think that's too on the nose. And I think, and I'm hoping they're not delaying it because of it. And I hope it's no like, you need to build a house for Yoshi. Like that's gonna like really wreck my head, and I'm gonna get frustrated. But I mean,
here's the thing though. Like you're giving me this reason,
Yeah.
and I'm gonna kind of call you on this. Okay, like you're giving me this reason, but the only reason that you think it's not going to happen or it's not happening is because you don't want it to happen.
Yeah, that's correct, 100%.
So the thing is that what I'm saying is this delay and this pairing sounds exactly like something Nintendo would do.
Okay, so here's what we're gonna do. Sorry, go ahead, Jesse. I don't want to interrupt you. You don't talk a lot. Go ahead. Sorry, go ahead, Jesse.
So Justin says he doesn't want it. Marty, are you wanting it?
No.
Okay.
No, I'm not wanting it. I'm just telling you what's going to happen.
Okay.
And that's fair. I just wanted to know if you were on the same side of that fence.
You're going to be buying Yoshi's Crafted World, and it's going to come in a box of freaking cardboard that you have to build. You're going to get to the end of the world, and it's going to be like, stop. Get out, sheets, da-da-da-da-da. Build a sailboat for Yoshi and Poochie to get across the crafted ocean.
So the box is going to be like Earthbound that has this.
Yes, that's exactly what that is a prediction. I'm just making it. To me, it's too obvious.
Okay, so here's what we're gonna do.
Maybe I'm reading too much into it. I don't know.
Here's what we're gonna do right now. We need to start creating like a wiki or some type of documentation. How many
times I'm wrong, or how many times I'm right?
Well, I mean, the wrong count would just be too high. We'd break the internet solely. Here's what we're gonna do, Marty. You believe it's going to happen. I believe it's not going to happen. We are going to do a bet. All right?
Oh gosh.
So we are going to bet, and that's why I need someone to document this. Someone out there, maybe in the chat forum somewhere, create some kind of like timestamp that on like today, September 7th, we made the following bet, and we can actually test it. If I am right, and that is not a crafted, so it's just a standalone game. There is no you buy the Labo and this kit. You are going to, I don't know, you have to buy me an eShop game, and if you are right, I will buy you an eShop game.
I'm fine with that. I thought it was going to be like some disgusting food challenge or something like that. We're doing that.
Might be now.
No,
now that you said something.
no, not gonna happen.
Guys, let us know in the chat, in the YouTube chat. What do you want for the bet? What should it actually be, folks? Is it t-shirt off dancing? Is it?
That's not gonna happen either.
Back waxing? Like, what's it gonna be here, folks?
That's unpleasant.
The game is fine. In fact, I'll raise the ante.
Oh, jeez.
I will raise the ante. I'll just buy you a full game.
That's how confident you are, hey?
No. I'm saying let's just raise it on up.
All right.
Let's be a full game. And here's the thing: it's Occam's razor, right? You're right, and it ends up being right. You've won everything. You're wrong.
Yeah. All right. We're up to full grade. Well, yeah, I'm gonna buy you a full console. I'm gonna buy you a country. No, I'm just kidding.
I'm gonna buy you a trip to Ireland. No, I'm not doing that either. My wife would kill me. But no, like, let me scale back the grandiose nature of how we've been talking a little bit here. I think it's going to have something to do with it. I don't and understand what I'm saying, that I don't want it to.
Yeah.
But it just seems so obvious that there's going to be, and Nintendo has kind of, I think, primed the pump for this by giving us the Mario Kart and Labo, right?
Yeah.
It's like, let's get it outside of the Labo games, right? Let's get it outside of this, and I can totally see them doing like shoehorning in some like mode where you can just use some of the Labo things and like play with Yoshi.
Yeah, and so here's a little bit of what I would say there is I could see that happening. So what I mean by that is I could see an existing kit, so let's say the Dollhouse or whatever, right, that now has an update that when you put in the I don't know, one of the sprockets on the left-hand side, it is now a Yoshi yarn ball. And when you shake it around, it bounces. Do you know what I mean? Like, I could see that connection, but I could not see to play Yoshi's Crafted World, you have to pay $120 for the game and $50 for cardboard. Like, I could see residual connective tissue.
It's going to be $79.99.
Yeah, but I could not see a dedicated, here is the crafting kit and the game together. Do you know what I mean? So I think there may be a gray zone between this where we neither win nor lose.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. Well, we'll see.
Yeah.
Jesse, mark that down. Put it in the notes there. Okay. So another thing, I'm going to save the best for last. All right. I'm going to save the best for last because this may get into a little bit of what we've been playing.
Sure.
But also, right before we came to record tonight, actually, as I was standing in line to pick up Spider-Man for the PS4, I know I'm a traitor, but I'm going to enjoy all of those puddles.
We're happy to announce the spin-off show of PlayStation
Dads.
PlayStation Dads.
Final Fantasy 15 Pocket Edition HD was announced for the Nintendo Switch. Coming soon. This is also going to be coming on the Xbox One and the PS4. I'm going to assume same release date probably. But this is the mobile game that was released earlier this year. I want to say January of this year. It is the full game of Final Fantasy 15. How do you say this? Remade, downgraded,
chibied,
however you want to say it, redone,
chibied,
for mobile, basically. And so it's coming to Switch. So let's talk pro con right here, right? Number one, third-party support for the Switch. That's pro.
Yep.
Number two, it is the entire game of Final Fantasy 15. So if you've not played it yet, then you're getting this. Pro, it's probably not going to be $60, right? Because it's just not. Con, and there's going to be some people who hate me for this, and that's okay. Con, it's Final Fantasy 15. Con, it's not the same game that PlayStation 4 and Xbox got, right? So, and there's some argument about whether or not the Switch can handle this or not, as far as the main regular game. But I've played this game. I rented it. I gave it a go when it came out on PS4. It just looked interesting. I wanted to try it. I got about 2 hours into it, and it completely lost me because it just felt like Monster Hunter with the Final Fantasy name driving around in a fancy limousine.
Mm-hmm.
And so I don't know. I'm sure there are people who this announcement is going to fit, and I'm sure that this was going to be on today's Nintendo Direct because it is a pretty big announcement.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know that I'm excited about this.
Well, I think so. For me, I don't know if I'm excited. So I'm actually just on the who is this? The Verge's website for it right now. The game is priced at $29.99 on the PS4 and Xbox, with a 40% launch sale, bringing it down to $17.99 now. So they haven't mentioned the Switch information, so that may be coming obviously very soon. You know, I think it does a couple of things. If you are I'm going to use a term like lapsed Final Fantasy gamer, this gives potentially, and you've only had a Nintendo Switch, so like this is almost just speaking to me. This gives you an opportunity to kind of jump in at a reasonable level, right, from a content perspective. Is it like, and here's my question, I don't know it that well, is this essentially the exact same game, just downgraded graphics? Is that the only differential, or is there like a?
The style is completely redone.
Yeah, sorry. Let me change that. There, it's not downgraded graphics. It's a style change. I just wanted to make that
stylistically different. But the battle system is intact. The
is
intact. The music is intact.
Yeah.
The quests are intact. So it's the whole game.
Right, just a different art style. So I don't think there's anything really too wrong with that. I think the thing for me that triggers, as so maybe I don't know, maybe I'll pick this up. Maybe I'll give it a shot. I don't know. but I think the win out of this, the thing that we always have to look at as the success here, is the fact that we have now another port on the system, right? We're seeing more third-party support. Now, Square Enix has obviously been supporting Nintendo for a little bit now, but we're seeing that catalog grow more and more. And I think that from Nintendo Switch perspective is only better for us, right? We've obviously seen Diablo 3 recently from Blizzard, so this continues to grow. So I actually think this is a good thing for the platform. Whether people buy it, that's the question, right? But I do think from a platform perspective, from a relationship perspective, and just putting more games in people's hands, that's a great thing. Would I play Final Fantasy 15 on this? No. But you know what I probably will do is I will play it on this. My sweet, sweet watermelon-colored Joy-Con Nintendo Switch.
You know what?
I just looked to see how much.
Are we Joy-Con
Watermelon Brothers?
You know what? No. We're not Watermelon Brothers. This is not the pink one. This is the neon orangish or red one. But I do like that. That's a sweet Switch.
Your pinks and greens are inverted. Anyway,
I know.
I looked at the iOS price for this game, and it looks like you can download it for free and play Chapter 1 for free, and then you can then buy each chapter singly or in a bundle. Okay. So you can buy like the rest of the game for $20. Mm-hmm. Or if you piecemeal chapters, it goes like 99 cents, then $3.99, $3.99, $3.99. If you go that far, then from chapter 7 to the end of the game is $12.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's still like $3.99 each.
I see in our chat here, Michael Zion saying, "Con, it's Final Fantasy 15." Definitely don't. He's saying it's definitely one of the worst numbered Final Fantasy 15s as well. So there may be a little bit of a, it's great it's coming, but maybe not be worth we want it to be as well.
Yeah, I think that like at this point the question is going to be, especially on other consoles that received the first release of it, right? The actual game, who hasn't played this game by now that wants to play it?
Right.
And so I think that this will find a home on the Switch, but I think your point is the most, I guess the biggest reason anybody would buy it on the Switch, and that's the portability. Mm-hmm. I might give it another go. I'm interested in the story, but just the gameplay in it did not grab me. Like I just wish that we could go back to like days when Final Fantasy was not what it is now. Like these really fair-haired, beautiful people running around this weird landscape and monsters where you can see them. And I want the random encounters. I want the turn-based battle. I want all of that. The last Final Fantasy that I really enjoyed was Final Fantasy X and X-2 for the PS2, and that was more. It was more turn-based, right?
Right.
So I like, and I'm loving Octopath. So that's.
I never played X-2, and I even bought it like twice. I bought the PS2 version.
Who didn't like it.
I bought the PS3 and the Vita version, so I bought it three times.
My wife and I were invested in the story, and so she and I played through it together. And it's that weird, like it has a weird diversion there, with the costume system where you like, instead you don't change party members in and out like Final Fantasy X. You had a full party, and you would change party members in and out to suit your needs. And this one, you change costumes in the middle of the fight.
Right.
And so like they would go through some like Sailor Moon inspired costume change, where like so it's would change from a summoner to a songstress.
So it's like a job system.
Yeah,
Maybe that's why I never played it.
Yeah, I don't, like let's get job systems out of RPGs too. By the way, I don't have enough time to go through all those menus. That's enough. Yeah. So Final Fantasy 15 Pocket Edition coming to Nintendo Switch soon is what they say. I would assume that means this year. That means 18.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we'll definitely hear information about this.
And this, Direct. Like we had talked about this pre-show, but this kind of lines up with a leak that came out earlier this week about the Nintendo Direct that it would have and so far, I wouldn't call it batting 1,000 or anything, but the guy who leaked it did predict that the Direct would be on the 6th. And he did predict that that Final Fantasy 15 Pocket Edition was coming to the Switch, and the date that he gave for it was October 26th. So,
Yeah,
There's a lot of other stuff in that leak as well, and I'm not sure if that's exactly right because none of it was 3DS stuff. But it was all Switch. So I don't know. It's out there. If you want to find it, it's on Smashboards. .com.
Don't go finding it because you're just going to ruin it for yourself if it does come true.
Don't do that. Don't do that.
It's like looking at your Christmas present early.
It's on. There you go. You can dub that over the other.
Yeah. I know that we want to transition to the very last one, but I do want to throw one other thing that did come out today for people to be aware of is that Lego Harry Potter World or Lego Harry Potter is coming to the Nintendo Switch.
Yeah.
And so I guess this is all the movies combined into one Lego game. So again, we're a parenting podcast. I think Lego games are pretty awesome. Harry Potter may be something your kids are interested in.
This is actually going to be the exact same collection that appeared on PS4 earlier this year.
Okay.
Or late last year. So what it is for if you haven't been following Lego games for very long, maybe because you didn't play Lego Harry Potter was one of the very first ones to come out. It was like Lego Harry Potter, Indiana Jones, and Star Wars, and all around that same time. This was long before the Marvel and DC licensing deals that they had. And so they did a collection of the first 4 years or the first 4 books. And just so everyone's aware, they really follow the movies more than the books. Okay. So you get books or movies 1 through 4. And then there was a second release that came out after or around the same time that the second part of movie 7 or book 7 came out. And it has 5, 6, and 7. What this collection has done is collect them into one game, have them in the same place, and it's kind of remastered them a little bit. Now, not much. And again, this is early Lego games, so there's going to be some mechanics here that are frustrating. I say this because we have it on PlayStation 4. Okay. I bought it for my wife because she's a huge Lego fan and a huge Harry Potter fan. So I just thought, hey, this is a win. It probably is never coming to the Switch. And then just like Crash Bandicoot, as soon as I buy it on the PlayStation, it gets put on the Switch as well.
Right.
So if there's any other PlayStation games you would like me to buy so they'll come to the Switch, let me know in our chat comments and I'll get right on that.
Spider-Man.
Well, you already did.
I've done that. It's not happening. You want me to go buy Overwatch again?
If you could, would you? That'd be great.
I'll do that. That way Overwatch can come over and... Tomb Raider, you want that one?
I'd say Overwatch first.
Okay.
Maybe if you buy Dragon Quest XI, it'll come out on the Switch faster.
Now that doesn't mean that I'm not excited that this is coming to the Switch. I think it's great. I think there's and they're doing this why because there's a new Harry Potter movie coming out this year, right?
Yeah.
So there you go.
I think that's it for our news. Let's move on.
Yeah. No. The biggest announcement to come out today that was probably going to be in this direct is that just out of the blue tonight, Capcom opens up the heavens and graces us with a demo for Mega Man 11. Oh my gosh. As soon as news about this broke, you guys should have seen my phone. It was going off like the 4th of July. People were tweeting me. People were texting me. People were go. And I'm sitting in a ball game and can do nothing. I'm sitting in an event and can do nothing. And so, yeah.
Yeah, so the demo's available on the Switch now in North America and Europe. It will be on PS4 and Xbox One tomorrow.
Yeah,
and the pre-purchase is also available as well for Mega Man.
And so that it finally confirms a price, right? $29.99, which is great.
Suck because that's not what it is Canadian.
Well, yeah, sorry, $29.99 USD. Unless you're like me and you're getting the special edition through GameStop, and then it's $59.99 because you're getting a Mega Man 11 amiibo and some other really cool little things there as well. Guys, I'm going to be real. You know what? Here's what I'm going to do. I'm not going to say anything about it right now because I will probably say too much. I'm going to save this until our What We've Been Playing section. Okay?
Oh, okay.
I'm just going to say it's out there. It's wonderful. You should go download it. It will give you a feel for this game. It was a very pleasant surprise that there are multiple difficulty settings for people who may have trouble playing Mega Man or aren't used to it. I will tell you that I played it on normal, and no, I have not been able to get to the boss yet.
All right.
And I don't know if it's just that it's hard or I was tired, We'll talk about that when we get to that time. All right?
Okay.
You sound disappointed.
Well, I think you've just put a big lead there, and then you're like, and now we're gonna go. Now we're like, just roll.
I want people to listen to that part of the show too.
Oh, for the love of Pete! All right.
All right. So
All right.
let's talk about some other news. Pokemon Go has been.
There's more news.
There's more news. There's a couple other things. Pokemon Go has been bringing in an average of $2.5 million per day for Niantic since the June update that allowed for friends and trading. Jesse, break this down for us.
That's a lot of money, but
money is good.
Yeah,
That's
basically,
the breakdown.
with that June update, the per day active players has been the most that it has been pretty much since launch. So it's kind of its second launch, if you will. And then with their monthly community days, and I think I don't know what they call it, but they have a reward for doing missions in the previous week. So like this Saturday from 1 to 4 my time, all of the raids will spawn a Moltres. And if you have a raid group, then it's just a frenzy to get as many as you can. Just rake in the XP. And then I think it's the 22nd is the community day where a bunch of Chikorita will spawn more than normal in public places between 1 and 4. So all of these extra activities will have people buying more Pokeballs and more extra add-ons, and so it's more money.
Did anybody else, when you said that thing in their head, hey, Chikorita?
No, it was just you.
Hey, Chikorita.
Sometimes I think about a banana, a Chiquita banana.
Oh, yes.
Chikorita banana.
You two both suck.
That happens.
Okay.
So that's it.
Okay,
cool. I just can't wrap my mind around the fact that this game is still making money.
Oh,
And
really?
it's making that kind of money, right? Now.
I'm not shocked by that anyway.
$2.5 million. I wish I could invent an app that was barely a game.
Even
could
my
make
daughter,
$2.5 million a day.
Even my daughter, who stopped playing for a while, has started playing it again and threw in like $10 or $20 to get extra Pokeballs, to get extra fast incubators to hatch the eggs.
Yeah. We still have, we've noticed people showing up again in the parking lots here at my office because we have 2 Pokestops right next to each other. Because it's here's my office, and then there's a graveyard right next to us, and it's a Pokestop as well for some reason.
Class.
And so I guess it's just because it's a community landmark, and they come and they sit in the middle between them and just spin the Pokestops and then drive away.
You might like this. We went to a cemetery yesterday, my daughter and I, to do a level 1 raid, which I could easily solo. My daughter probably could have easily soloed it. She's I think level 19 or like 21 now. So, but the 2 of us are in there ready to do the raid. Another card pulls up from behind us with 2
and
other
they take
people.
the body out of the car in the hearse and they walk it over to the grave.
No, but they are 2 other gamers. So there was 4 people doing this level 1 raid. It was just decimation.
I was hoping that some way you'd walk yourself into a funeral and that you had to awkwardly stand there trying to catch Pokemon in the middle of the funeral.
No, we if there was an active funeral, we wouldn't have done that.
We'd wait until they were in the ground at least before we started raiding.
Right.
All right.
Wow. And on that note, let's move on to speaking of in the ground. Splatoon 2 data miner Oatmeal Dome, who is really famous in the community, may have found a clue about the Nintendo Direct, circling back to our first topic here, and a clue that basically says that it's going to air next week, which is something that we had maybe thought or we might assume. But where he found this clue is that there was some Salmon Run gear that was supposed to launch tomorrow or today, as you listen to this, September 7th. as well as ranked rotation pools for certain maps. I believe Kelp Dome and some others that were supposed to reset on September 7th.
Yep.
And due to some data mining, he has found out that these will now reset on September 14th.
Interesting.
And the Salmon Run gear will also be available on September 14th.
That sounds
which
fair.
would allow for there to be time for a Nintendo Direct on September 13th.
Yep.
And launch a new update the next day.
Correct. Yeah. Yeah. There's, and I guess the other thing I would say about this, and I actually want to sit back in the Nintendo Direct pocket because we've missed an opportunity here, and I think I'd like us to work on it because I think everything else is a little bit smaller news, to be completely honest. There is probably some, like, people are not as simple as like, well, just press the button and everything works now. Like, there's probably some editing that actually has to go back into redoing the video or whatever package they were going to be doing. There's probably some adjustments they're going to be needing to make. So it's not as simple as just there's a lot of back end hooks for them to make this pull that they probably had to redo and re-put together. So, but actually before let's have a quick chat about the Direct again. Sorry.
No,
what do you guys think? I want like hot take predictions, 3 things that's going to happen here. I'll give you my 3 because I've just thrown at you.
Go ahead. Yeah, I want to hear yours.
Number 1, we're going to hear about the online system, right? We're going to hear that infrastructure and pricing. I think we're going to get DLC from Mario Kart 8 in some format, whether it's a whole bunch of levels or a new package. They've been like drip feeding the Mario Kart 8 infrastructure, so I think there's something there. Plus, we've got the mobile game we have coming up, and I think we're going to have a big third-party announcement. And I think that could be something like potentially Switch coming to the Overwatch, or Overwatch coming to the Switch. They've cleared the docket of indie stuff. They're not, and I do think we also will get a Smash reveal at the very end, at least one character. Those are my hot takes of what's going to happen. Also, speaking of alsos, the other shock here is going to be that there is going to be controllers that they're going to now have available for you to buy for classics. And that was based off the information leak we saw happen last weekend about the online stuff.
So you're talking like classic controllers that connect wirelessly to the Switch, like a Pro controller.
Correct. Yeah, that is specifically like an NES classic one.
So I have a couple of predictions that could come true, and one that you're going to say, "What?"
Okay.
All right. So number 1. I think we're going to get a game that releases during this Direct.
I agree. Yeah, they have been really good at that. It's out now trick.
I think it's going to be Wargroove.
No, I disagree with you there. I think it's I
think this is going to be pretty much indie free.
I think so too.
It's either going to be Wargroove or my other pick was Hearthstone.
That's a possibility.
I feel like that's more likely than Wargroove.
Okay. Second is that we're going to get either new Super Mario Brothers U with Luigi U remake for the Switch, or we're going to get a new Super Mario All-Stars that includes Mario Galaxy 2, and Super Mario 3D World.
I think the rumors around the Super Mario U is really high, so I suspect that one is true. We've heard a lot of smoke around that one. The other one, I don't think so, but I think you may be on something there, Marty.
All right, my third one, and the reason why it was important for this to launch, or to all go at the same time. You ready for this?
Yeah.
Smash is not coming out on the 9th of December.
Okay.
What?
Smash is coming out day and date with the online service at the end of September. And the reason for that is because the Pro Controller date on BestBuy.com has changed to 9/28 and has not changed in a week.
And it occurred around the exact same time as that got announced.
Yep. They're going to move Smash up.
I see that's possible.
So that they launch strong with online.
Which is what we've been saying from the start.
So and I know that that's crazy, and I know some people think I'm probably nuts for saying that, and I don't think it's wishful thinking. I think it's just there's some signs there. It's not been changed. Why wouldn't it be changed? Why would they not get right on that? Or then you're going to have all these people, or are they? Surely they're not going to release the Pro Controller 2 to 3 months before the game drops.
I think we broke Justin.
I think so. He doesn't know what to say.
There's so many things there that my brain is breaking on. So, I've always thought that the early December release was weird for Smash because of how big Smash is. And you've missed the cycle, the Christmas cycle, like the big pay cycle, right? The Black Friday.
Black Friday.
Yeah.
So you're still before Christmas, which is fine. But typically the games that Nintendo released in the first month or the first couple weeks in December are really quiet games, right? They've kind of moved off the hype cycle. So I thought that was really quite odd. Now, obviously, we know Pokemon Go is in there, so you don't want to be taking the same space as that because you're conflicting for dollars. I could here's the thing. I could see them doing it. It's a brilliant move, and it's out of nowhere that all of a sudden it drops like that. And that is a literally break the internet Nintendo fan kind of craze. We've been moving and here's the thing that my thought is that we've been moving this, we had our direct here, we had our Smash Direct here in August. I said there'll be another one in October. We can continue to kind of create this hype train around it, but if it is available now and basically they drop it, that would be crazy. But the other thing is they're dropping it. I mean, it forces people to buy the online service for sure. It forces that hand.
That's exactly right.
But the challenge is if the online service is not up to snuff and they have not worked through the bugs, then all of a sudden you have it is a huge risk.
It's Brawl all over again.
It is a massive risk to something that do you want to take that risk on? Now you've already got the install base. People have already purchased it potentially at that point, or maybe not have. I don't know. That's a really, really ballsy move. And then I also think when you have stuff like pre-orders potentially that all of a sudden are triggered on late September as opposed to early December, you may have pre-ordered it. It may all of a sudden create issues for clients because of hey, I didn't have enough money in my bank account or something, and I had budgeted properly for it. So there's a lot of risk in that move if they do it. Interesting. Well,
let me ask you this. What do you make of the date on the controller changing?
I think that may have just been I think the only one that we're seeing it occurring at is Best Buy, right?
I think so. I'm going to do some checking while you talk about it.
Yeah, I mean, could they put out the controller before the game? Yeah, they could. Does it make logical sense? Not really. It should be bundled. It makes more sense, right? It's kind of an event of hey, I picked up my Amiibo, I picked up my game, I picked up my controller. You make it more of an event. So I think it could have just been a processing error potentially, or I don't think so. I like where your headspace is at. I like that thought on it, but that risk feels too high. But at the same time, Nintendo's been doing some really crazy things lately, and I wouldn't be shocked if maybe they do pull the trigger on that idea. But if you were right, it's brilliant, Marty. Someone marked this down. If you're right, you won the day. That's the best bet I've ever seen happen. If you're wrong,
it's such a long shot.
But it's such a long shot.
Okay, so the release date on BestBuy.com has been moved back to the 7th.
Okay.
So probably not.
So
not right.
So minus the last 5 minutes of me breaking my brain, there was a whole lot of
okay.
going on there.
So let me go a safer route, but also Smash related. All right, we get a character reveal, but we also get a demo that drops available now.
No. Maybe. No, they're not gonna. No, they're not dropping a date. They're not dropping a demo.
We're not gonna get a demo like we did with the Wii U.
No, because it'll be data mined.
Oh yeah.
The risk is too big for data mining at this point. The game has to be almost polished before they do that. Especially if they're gonna add more content to it, they can't. It's a risk. It's too big.
Well, they still have the E3 build that had the limited roster that.
Yeah. Now, they could potentially. Now, here's the thing, Marty. I don't think they would do it here. They could potentially do it though in November. I just don't think they're doing it here. I think that's too early, especially with the online infrastructure not necessarily being up and running at that point, potentially. Again, that's exposed risk, in my opinion. If you're right.
The thing is, and the only reason I say that is because they have done an online test fire for every huge important game that they've had come out since the Switch launch that is online, except for Mario Kart.
I don't disagree that they're going to do it. I just don't think they're doing it this time, right now.
Okay.
I think you may see November. Yeah. Jesse, what are your quick thoughts? But by the way, I love those thinking, Marty. Yeah, and also, by the way, this I want to give credit to someone. John Blanco said the available now game. He says was Mega Man 11 for the demo.
Oh, okay.
That's what his thought is, at least. That's a good point.
That's a good point. Yeah.
I'd like to see a new 2D Zelda announced. It's been a while since we've had one, and I think we're about due.
Okay.
Probably like a mention of Metroid Prime.
Yep.
And
that one I think is more likely.
And maybe a mention of a Pikmin.
I think we might get a teaser.
And a lot of people were talking about Animal Crossing. It sounds
either Animal Crossing
likely.
or Pikmin. I think we'll get a teaser for. So I like it. All good suggestions, which we'll know in probably like a week from now. Probably in our next podcast, we'll have this will all be revealed, right? So.
And then we'll talk for another hour.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what we do. Speaking of talking for an hour, though, we specifically talked about today being community-focused, community-centric questions. So let's pull that up before we go to what we've been playing. And let's answer some of those, because I don't want that to get slipped across under the rug. Is that fair?
Sure.
Do we have a button or we have a bumper for community
spotlight?
We
sure do. Hit that beautiful community spotlight music.
Awesome. Thank you, Jesse. So I'm going to pull some questions here. These came from last week from our community questions. I didn't want to miss them.
We also have a voicemail from I think 2 weeks ago.
Voicemail. We have some email.
We got a lot of stuff to go through here, folks.
Yeah, this is good. You said we didn't have a lot, but we do.
Yes, we did, right? So let's jump into this first one. This first one comes from Zombie Duck Rob. A couple of my friends are getting married soon and are having a very nerdy wedding. I'm getting them a custom Pokemon card made as a gift. Very cool. What nerdy custom ideas do you have? Custom gift ideas do you have?
Ooh.
Ooh.
So my question is, and maybe you can clarify this, maybe the way you read it, Justin, is this a gift for both, or a gift, maybe a separate gift for each, or is it something that's supposed to be functional as like a gift for the two of them?
Well, I think the two of them, because they're saying they are having a very nerdy wedding. Wedding. I'm getting a custom Pokemon card made as a gift.
Oh, that's super cool.
What nerdy gift ideas would you have?
My buddy Brandon, who's been on the show once before and filled in when we needed some help, he had a pretty nerdy wedding as well. They did like all of their announcements, and things, and even a lot of the like pre-wedding pictures and everything, like Nintendo shirts, Nintendo graphics on them.
Nice.
And so I want to say that there was something he gave away at his wedding that was shaped like an NES controller.
That's awesome. Awesome.
Maybe it was like a cookie of some kind that was shaped like an NES controller.
Yep.
But like my first thing that it went to in my mind was like, if you're thinking for a guy, like cufflinks. Like some kind of Mario themed cufflinks, or Zelda, or Metroid, Triforce cufflinks. A Triforce pin to wear on the lapel, the tuxedo jacket, or something like that. Maybe some kind of ribbon or something that goes along with the bride's dress. Just little ways, subtle ways to work that in, right?
Yeah.
But I think more of a gift that you're looking for there. I would really have to know them, right?
Yeah, I would say I'd want to maybe commission, let's say, like an artist. Like, we know some of those people who are great artists, Art of Adam Leonard, and I would ask them to do a portrait, right? So maybe the bride as Zelda and the groom as Link or whatever, in some kind of power pose or whatever, some kind of like, you know, together, or of course Mario and Peach or whatever. Well, like I'd kind of try and do something like that. That's what I would do. So hopefully that gives you some idea there, Zombie. We're gonna move over to the next one. Hoshman, I think is how we say it. How excited are you for FIFA? FIFA 18 on the Nintendo Switch was great, but do I buy FIFA 19 for the Switch and Xbox, or do I get the Xbox version and then wait for the holidays to buy it on the Switch? Last year, FIFA was heavily discounted by Christmas. Decisions. How excited are we for FIFA? That's an awesome question. Not at all. Not at all are we excited for FIFA.
This is the guy who lives in Ireland.
This is the brutal honesty here.
Coached my son's soccer team 1 year for rec league season, and we went 0-8. So I am not the guy to ask about FIFA.
Here's my experience with.
Typically play FIFA, but I will tell you this. Here's my prediction: it will not go on sale as quickly this year as it did last year.
Yeah. I will say this in response. I played FIFA 18 when I was at EGX, and they had it on like tabletop mode, and I was playing it, and I played it for about 3 minutes, and I just put the controller down and I walked away, and I said, why did I do that? Why did I spend my 3 minutes doing that? I'm not a huge FIFA fan. I do think it will get discounted for sure. I think it's probably best to try and wait for that discount, because you are right, there was a heavy discount on the Nintendo Switch. But if you're a FIFA fan and you're excited, and here's the honesty of it, being in Ireland, being in the EU, FIFA is massive here. Like, it is such a huge game. People, like, it is like, you know, it's in every flyer that we see here. It's coming out. It's a massive game for the community here. I'm glad that you're excited for it. Let us know in the decisions, obviously, what you end up doing there. But I'd say, you know, maybe wait if you can. Get some more out of FIFA 18 and then look for that discount for sure. Timothy asks, of course, this is Timothy Alf, asks, you end up on a desert island for a year. You have a solar power in your Switch. However, your Switch reset. None of your downloads or saves are on it, and you have to only bring 3 physical games in a case. Which games do you hope you have in your case for that year with you? Oh, gentlemen, 3 Switch games in a case. What are you doing? What 3 are you taking?
Well, see, that's not a fair question, because they're all preloaded on my Switch digitally.
Well, so you've made a poor decision. Now you have nothing on your Switch at all.
No. So you can't have anything on there digitally?
Well, he's just saying the Switch reset. All your saves and downloads are gone.
Okay. So which 3 am I taking?
Yeah, which 3? Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Do we have internet connection?
I'd presume no.
Okay, so here's what I'm taking.
Okay.
This is easy. I'm taking Mega Man Legacy Collection 1 because it's Mega Man 1 through 6.
Right.
I'm taking a physical copy of Enter the Gungeon because it does exist. It's out there. And then I'm going to take Octopath Traveler.
Yeah, I'm thinking of as many long-hour games as I could think of. So, yeah, I was also thinking Octopath. And then, of course, Breath of the Wild and Odyssey. You know, what else is there?
I'm taking Breath of the Wild. I'm taking Mario Kart 8. And I am taking Mario vs. Rabbids.
Oh, I think I want to.
You know what? Hold on. Let me swap out one of those. I'm going to swap out Mario Kart 8 for Octopath Traveler because I haven't played it. So this will give me a lot of time to play it.
So everyone said Octopath.
Octopath, apparently. Okay.
And again, I still haven't gotten around to it yet. I plan on doing that sometime.
I love it. Okay, let's move on to our next question. Andy Johnson asks, out of all your gaming conventions you gents have gone to, which is your favorite and why? Any crazy stories you can tell us? Sure, Andy. So my favorite gaming convention that I have gone to, I would have to probably say EGX over in Birmingham has been my favorite. And the reason it was my favorite is I went there and actually got to meet up with Gary, and we hung out at EGX for like 2 days, and that was really cool. So that was a really great experience. Any crazy stories you can tell us about? I would say the EGX was very odd because it was my first like big show, and I was walking around wearing a Nintendo Dads shirt, and someone actually stopped me and was like, oh, "Are you Justin from Nintendo Dads?" And I was like, yes, I am. So that was very odd to get recognized, very humbling. And that was kind of cool. And then another one I went to one with Barry Dunn, the Nintendo Impact gamer, and we were up in Dublin, and we were just kind of goofing around a bit, and this person walked past us and gave us like a free sample of a Red Bull. And so I said, "Oh, Gary, let's do a little bit of an unboxing taste test of a Red Bull. I haven't had one in years." So I sit down and start recording, and I crack it open. You can find our video on our YouTube channel, by the way. And I'm like, "Oh my God, this is horrible. This is disgusting. Tastes like cough medicine. Why would you do this? This is gross." And I'm looking, and Barry's kind of giving me a bit of a laugh about it. And he's kind of like, his eyes are darting to the left, as if he wants me to look somewhere. And so I'm having a bit of a laugh, and I kind of turn to look at, and the person who's sitting right beside me is literally the person who handed me the Red Bull, who was like the Red Bull distributor lady. And I was like, I'm an idiot. I'm a complete and utter idiot. So it was kind of a funny moment, but those would be the ones that I would say. Guys, what about you guys for gaming conventions?
I have never been to a gaming convention, like full gaming convention. They just don't really, like, outside of E3 and PAX here, they don't really, we don't really find them unless they're like really local, regional stuff. And typically they tend to skew more toward just nerd, pop culture, geek culture in general. The weirdest story that I will say though, is I went to a comic convention that involved gaming when I was on another podcast. And there was a very heavy presence there of guys dressed up like My Little Pony characters. They were, and there's nothing wrong with this. I'm just saying, like, the way they chose to do this was not like to dress like a pony, but like to dress like gangsters with like pinstripe suits with My Little Pony wigs and sunglasses.
That's kind of awesome.
And there was also someone there in a giant Rainbow Dash costume who kept following us around, and we met the zombie that ate Dale on The Walking Dead.
That's awesome.
Was like their big guest. And so, yeah, that's pretty much my most interesting story, was that the zombie who ate Dale was there, and we were talking to him, and another guy came up and thought that one of my buddies was Robert Kirkman and tried to hit on him.
Interesting.
Because he apparently enjoys the way that Robert Kirkman looks.
Okay.
John's picking on me in the chat when I said that's kind of awesome. And he goes, signed, the Nintendo Dad dressed as Tingle.
There you go. Yeah, well, that's a fair statement. Like, he's not wrong. He's not wrong.
Right.
Awesome. Jesse, how about yourself? Any fun stories?
I don't have any weird stories. The only really gaming convention I've ever been to was that one E3, 7 years ago. So what I remember is a blur. But the one thing I do remember is near the end of the last day, we were kind of hanging around the Nintendo booth, with Will and Roger and a few others. Then we came across Sean Buckley, who also was a former VG Tribune writer who recently got hired at Engadget, and I believe still works for them. So the first time I got a chance to meet him and talking, so that was fun. We've talked on over chat and Skype before, but just never actually met. And then while that's going on, we a few other Nintendo people walked by. We got a chance to say hi. I think JC was one of them. He's the only guy. He's the only one I remember by name. So not really exciting, but that's like the only thing I really remember.
That's fair. That's fair. I would highly recommend, if you get a chance to attend gaming conventions. They are absolutely fantastic. And it's one of those things that once you've gone to one, you want to go to another one, right? Like, I am off of Gamescom, and I'm excited to potentially be going, if we can potentially go to EGX. I know Gary's going to be there. I may or may not. We're trying to figure out with family how that's going to work. But they are fantastic things, and they are absolutely great. I would highly recommend them. Let's go over to our next question, which is Shikai, and says, as a parent, if your kids buy their own games, allowance or a job, do you encourage your kids to get the most out of a purchase and buy fewer games and play them in depth, or do you approach it as you earn the money, buy what you want? Well, that's a good parenting question.
Yeah, so let me speak to this one, because we're currently fighting a battle in my house about this, and and I can say this here because my son doesn't listen to the show. He's 11, but hopefully he'll listen later on, but not now. He's not a dad. Thank goodness. He really wants Undertale, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, what the little guy doesn't know is that I have bought the Undertale Special Edition for him off of Fangamer.com. So usually in our house, what I do is that our kids get a set allowance every month, and they have to do a few things with that. Number one is the majority of it they get to keep. 80% they get to keep. 10% goes into savings, and 10% is given to the church. And so we, he gets a good little allowance every month for an 11-year-old that does basic household chores, and that's it. And so, he wanted a game that came out a long time ago on the Switch, but is on sale right now, that called Human Fall Flat.
Mm-hmm.
And I really didn't I didn't know anything about the game. I didn't really care about it. I didn't think that he would, but he really likes Gang Beasts on the PS4, which is kind of like this ragdoll physics fighting game. And he says, oh, it's kind of like that. So, you know what? I basically said, I watched a video of it. I didn't really see anything wrong with it. So I said, you know what? You can buy it. And I told him, if you buy this and it's not good and you don't like it, then you don't get any, you're not getting your money back. I'm not going to bail you out. Mm-hmm. Well, the good thing is he liked it, right? And he's played it multiple times and still playing it. We've played it together. It's actually a lot of fun. I would actually highly recommend it as a game for parents to play with their kids, because you can design your little man. You can make him look like a dog or a construction worker or all kinds of things. And then you're dropped into a level where you use your, you fling this man all over the level trying to pull down levers and open doors and stuff so you can get out. Mm-hmm. So it encourages you to work together. Mm-hmm. The other day, he wanted this game called Pixel Shooter or something like that, which is basically like Minecraft with guns, where it has rip-offs of famous celebrities and they shoot each other. And it was on sale for 50% off. It was $3. And I was like, you know what? If you want to spend your money on that, that's fine. If it sucks, too bad. And so we've found that a couple of times. He bought Pokemon. Can't remember if it was Sun or Moon that he bought. And he was just like, I don't really like this. It's a little hard for me, And I was like, well, bud, you spent your money. Yeah. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to teach him that sometimes it feels good to buy yourself something, because you've earned that. But we also want them to learn the financial responsibility of having to save up.
Yeah.
And so the battle we're fighting with Undertale right now is he has the money, and I'm trying to give this to him as a gift, and
without ruining the surprise, right?
Without ruining the surprise. I don't want him to know about it. So, but I'm having to tell him, I don't want you to buy Undertale. I don't think that's a good purchase. You've already got it. I've said stuff like, well, we've already got it on the computer. Just play it on the computer.
Right. Well, and I think that's a little bit of a different situation, right, Marty? It's not. It is you trying to delay him because you're already gifting him that, right? I think that's, so it's more of a, and I guess it's the same thing, right? It's a conversation about how, hey, it's mine. I earned it. I want to spend it, right? But you're trying to navigate the conversation around, hey, how do we avoid this so that you're not double dipping, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I don't want him to buy a $15 version of the game and then this $65 version of the game that I've paid for comes in and just all the extras.
Have you thought about, and I know that it's, obviously the surprise, you want to be there, the surprise, right? But have you got to a point where you maybe have to sit down and say hey, here's why, right? We've got to, maybe it's you package up in some kind of surprise, it's an envelope you open up and it's a ticket that looks like Undertale and say hey, here's why you're not buying it. Right, because you've earned it, but I want to tell you now.
Really, what I wanted was the package to come,
and
him to open it and see what it is. And now there's, the game doesn't come out until September 18th here.
Yeah.
And the Fangamer version is supposed to ship on the 15th.
Oh,
so there's a chance that I'll get it on launch day. So I'm hoping that happens. But I think that's the ultimate task of parents is to or one of the ultimate tasks of parenting is to teach your kids to be responsible with money. My parents did not do that because I was an only child. They just basically gave me whatever I wanted. And then I had a magical checking account that would magically refill every time it got low in college.
Oh.
Yeah, it was not like, it sounds great, but it's not, because it taught me nothing.
Yeah.
So, and it taught me, like, I had to learn some really hard lessons about money and wants versus needs and things like that when I got married. And that made those first couple of years of marriage sometimes harder than they needed to be. So, my wife and I decided we're going to teach our kids how to save money. We're going to teach them how to spend it. We will talk to them about purchases, but if they want it and that's their money, we allow them to spend it.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not going to buy him like death, murder, whole 17, or whatever, it says like a horrible R or whatever, M17 rating or whatever. But
yeah,
I'm gonna monitor his purchases. But if I feel like it's a decent game, now there have been times where I've said this game has been reviewed very badly. Here are the reasons that you don't want that, and then we will watch a review, or I will let you see the review, and then if he still wants it, I'll try to discourage him as long as I can and hope he changes his mind. Right. But ultimately, I'm going to let him spend the money that he's earned.
Yeah, and I think one of the things that really keyed up for me in that conversation there was having that dialogue about, hey, let's check out reviews, right, before you decide to spend that money. What do other gamers say? What is the rating on it, right? I think from a parenting perspective, for me, that's an important thing, and I know that, the answer is always like, hey, here's a 10-year-old playing GTA or Doom or whatever it is. Like, just, I think, the same way that we would say, is this inappropriate content for your children to watch or listen to? Do I feel comfortable with them hearing that? Same thing with video games as well. I think we as parents need to play active roles in that. And I know that we probably grew up in a generation where that wasn't monitored because video games were very new, right? So those things weren't monitored by parents in the same way. But I do think that we are educated enough, and I think especially as audiences being Nintendo dads, to pay the attention to that kind of stuff. Like if your kid comes to you and says, I want this game, guess what? You need to do your due diligence. You need to do your research. You need to check those things, check reviews. And yes, it may be their money, but I think there's also a conversation about, like, just because it's your money doesn't mean you can go down to the liquor store and buy booze because it's your money, right? We need to sometimes be parents and police those kind of parameters, right? So you're not allowed to buy smokes or booze because you're a certain age. We need to also understand that GameStops or whatever that is probably not doing their due diligence for those as well. So we need to be active in that conversation. Really great question there. Thank you very much. Let's move on to our next.
I wanted to chime in. So the problem I'm having with my son is, he's 18, he's older, he has a job. It's like 30 hours a week, so not quite full time. But he blows his money as soon as he gets it, and I'm trying to get him to learn how to put some money into savings, and he'll put some money into savings, but then pretty much pull it out again because when he runs out of his other money, be able to keep enough of his check to at least pay for his meals during his breaks for the next 2 weeks. Because I told him I'm not going to be able to throw $10 at you every time you work. I have a budget too.
Yeah.
And the problem that he falls into is that Fire Emblem mobile game. He's thrown so much money into orbs. I told him you need to limit that. If you want to do like $20 a check, sure. But if I go into your checking account and see an $80 purchase, that's crazy. You shouldn't be doing that if you only get $200 checks.
Yeah. Yeah, I think again it's that conversation, right, about how budgets work, and I think as we move more and more into being digital, right, and cards and not seeing money, it's a hard concept for kids to understand. So
yeah, and like don't listen to like my part of this conversation and be like, oh man, Marty's son always makes great decisions, about what he buys and what he plays. No. I mean, there are times where I have to step in and be like, no, you're not buying that.
Hard no.
You're gonna regret this, or you're gonna say, I wish I hadn't spent my money on that, and then you're gonna want something else. And I'm going to feel bad. I'm going to feel like I need to get it for you. We're not going to go down that route. We're not going to do that.
Exactly.
Yeah, my son really doesn't want new games. He the only games he really plays is Fortnite, Call of Duty, and Pokemon. So we buy pretty much 2 games a year for him, and then he bought the latest season that season 5 is almost over. But so other than that, he doesn't need a lot of money to buy games. He just wastes it all in orbs.
Yeah, there you go. Jesse, I'm gonna pull out a question here for this actually question is very targeted at Marty, so Marty, I'm gonna throw it to you. But Jesse, can you pull up that call when you have a second to get ready for it? It'd be great.
I think so.
Perfect, thank you.
Let's see if this works.
You do your thing. You check that while I throw this question. This comes from Chris over in Cambridge, Ontario, Canada. My question may be particular for Marty, but I'm interested in all of your perspectives. Marty, as a Christian, does your faith influence your gaming in any way? Do you shy away from certain games or a video game or are video games just a hobby that don't really have any moral implications? That's an interesting question.
Well, that's a loaded question. And the reason I asked that is because I believe personally that everything has moral implications. So I'm not going to but I'm also not going to sit here and tell you that I don't play Doom or that I don't play Castlevania or things like that. Now, there are some people who are believers like I am that do shy away from that. I was raised in a household where I was taught to respect the church, and even though we weren't going to church, where we kind of had a high view of God and we had a high view of Christians, even though we weren't churchgoers or anything, but I was allowed to have access to media. So unlike one of my friends in college who had to come home one day and gather up all his He-Man figures and take them into the backyard and burn them in a pile, because there's only one master of the universe, and his name is Jesus Christ. I was allowed to play with Transformers and He-Man and Visionary. So when I began to get older and found out that there were Christians who I was now part of, who had problems with shows about Dungeons and Dragons and magic and things like that, it blew my mind, because I was like, to me, this was entertainment. It was kind of a gray area, right? And so I kind of tend to bucket media in one of 3 things. There's the gray area, which is neither for nor against. There's the dark area, which is against, and there's the light area, which is for. There are some games that I can honestly say, I won't say that I avoided them completely, but they kind of crossed a line for me. And because of that, I didn't play them.
Do you have any in particular?
I'm going to give you a recent example, one that I still kind of feel weirded out about, and that I kind of still have some questions and just wrestling with, is Iconoclasts. Because if you play Iconoclasts on the Switch, and you're playing it, Justin, it deals very heavily with religion.
Yeah.
Binding of Isaac dealt a whole lot with concepts of religion in a way, even in a way that I would not let my children watch me play that game.
Right.
And I began to ask questions. Well, if I can't let my children watch me play this game, do I need to be playing this game?
Right.
Is it something I need to be doing? And I know that some people would disagree with me on that or whatever, but I would love to say that my faith informs everything I do. It informs the way I think. It informs the way I speak. It informs the way I treat people. But if I close myself off and I don't go into the world where people are, right? I'm not saying that I'm going to go try drugs because I want to know what a drug addict feels like, but
sure.
I think that there's extreme sheltering, and then there's being cautious.
Right. And I think it's interesting, your example of Iconoclast there. And I guess one of the questions I would challenge you with, or ask your interpretation of here is I would think with a game like Iconoclast, because of your faith, you have a different lens, a different perspective that you're looking at the game in, with some of the topics that are being raised. And that I think, like anything we do, like art, right? Any art, whether it's paintings, TV shows, whatever movies, that, I think what art does is to draw a question, right? It challenges the viewer, challenges the listener to feel or think in a certain way, that your faith would challenge you to look at it maybe differently. Then you would maybe get something different out of it than I would, right? Our perspectives of how we look at the game may be very different, or how Jesse does, right? I guess that's an interesting perspective as well to look at it.
Yeah, I think that like I believe, and without getting too preachy, because I know there's people who listen to the show that don't believe like I do, and that's totally fine. But like I believe that the purpose of my life is to know God and make Him known, right? So I do that, and that's not just because I'm a minister. I believe that's the end goal of every Christian, right? And so, how do I do that? Well, I'm going to enter a world where, and I'm going to say this, and I make no apologies for it. Few Christians are brave enough to enter the world of nerdery and pop culture and video games because they don't understand it. And they don't know how to relate to people there. Like they might know how to relate to people in the sports world because they like sports, or they may not know how to relate to people who are in the world of politics or business because that's what they do. This is what I do. And I'm not saying this to brag or anything, but there are people who've contacted me since I came on the show 2 years ago. It's almost 2 years now, which is crazy. And they were like, it's really refreshing to hear somebody who shares my faith. And you're not like preaching it, or you're not talking, but like I believe the same thing you do, and I get to hear your perspective on video games.
Right.
And so, if that's my avenue to be able to talk to somebody or be able to meet to somebody or make someone's life better, great. And so I am going to play video games now. Just sometimes am I like, why do you have this much language in this video game? Or why did you have to have that scene? Or why did you have to do this? Yes, I ask those questions.
And I imagine that doesn't just even come from a faith-based perspective, but also just as a consumer of content, right? Yep. Or as a parent, right?
That's exactly what I was going to say.
There's several lenses that we consume things through, or several hats that we wear when we consume content. So it may, in this time it may ring the faith bell. This time it may ring the parent bell. It may ring the Marty, just like, this is just like my center of who I am. And, that's not needed. Right. So sorry, Jesse, I interrupted you.
Yeah. So the way I think is I kind of keep them segmented. I have what I believe, which, may vary from you and everyone. And that, again, it doesn't matter. That's okay. When I want what I do with my entertainment, I really don't think of in terms of my faith. It's just I want to be entertained, and if that, and that entertainment can have religious connotations, or it may not. And to me, it really doesn't matter. It really hasn't bothered me one way or another. Yeah, there are some types of content, as you said, that do bother me. I don't like shooters. I don't like sports games. None of that has to do with faith. That's just my personal likes and dislikes.
Yeah. Preferences, right?
Right.
Yeah, exactly. I like steak. I don't like fish. I like 2D platformers. I don't like JRPGs.
Right.
Picross.
Exactly. That's how it all comes back. So
I think just to kind of wrap the book on this, like I'll say this, like the way that I view my life is, like I said before, is that my faith informs everything I do.
Yeah.
And so there are times that I am going to either choose or not choose a game based on maybe some of the content in it. There are going to be times that I infer or read into or see illustrations in games differently than some other people, right? Because it reflects what I believe, or I might go, man, that really speaks to me. It reminds me of this from scripture or something like that, But then there's sometimes they're just good games, and it's okay to be human and it's okay to enjoy some things. I'm not necessarily saying go out and do whatever you want, but it's if it's in that gray area, it's okay to enjoy it, right?
Yeah, like there was one game I enjoyed playing and was Dante's Inferno, which is just due to its content. When it was new, my kids were like 10 to 12. That's not a game for the kids. But I enjoyed the gameplay, the sexual overtones and the language. Yeah, it was there, but it didn't bother me. It would. I know that would bother other people, but that's fine. But so again, just entertainment, and that's okay.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, and I've said before as well, and this isn't from a faith-based perspective, but just more from a content perspective. In my house, there are games I won't play because when I think of the games that I purchase, I want to be aware that can I play them in front of my children and feel okay with what they represent. And I've talked about that before with some of the over-sexualization in some of the games. Being a father of 2 young daughters, how is that portrayed? So some of those decisions impact the games that I play. So not only from a content of violence, but also over-sexualization and imagery that I don't feel necessarily comfortable as a father playing, and how that may portray how women are. So for me, that's one of the challenges that I sometimes face with that as well. So there are some topics or games that I will definitely not play because of that content as well. I do want to throw in a couple of quick statements here that I'm going through the chat. And again, thank you for everyone who jumped in here. And there's a lot of really good conversation occurring in our chat as well. A lot of people talking about how they look at games through a faith lens as well, which is pretty awesome. I do want to say here, Michael says, I agree with those people's sentiments. I'm happy that Josh actually recommended me to Nintendo Dads. I'm happy so much. I'm happy how much me and Jesse's taste in games overlap, and that Marty and I share our faith. That's fantastic as well. John Blanco is having a great conversation about The End is Nigh and Binding of Isaac. And then Michael comes back and said, I'm honestly just incredibly happy with the group that is Nintendo Dads in general. Thank you. I appreciate that as well. We all appreciate that. Exactly. So yeah, guys, great conversation. And sometimes we have deeper conversations like this, and sometimes they're about fart jokes. But hopefully you enjoy it no matter what. Speaking of
fart jokes,
that's when Adam and John is on.
Exactly. Speaking of fart jokes and segues, Jesse, are you able to grab that voicemail?
Yeah, let's see if this works. Ready?
Okay.
Hey, Dads. This is Warren Akers. This one's for the next time Marty's on the episode. I'm wondering if Nintendo ever puts out an N64 Classic, what are the chances that Mega Man 64, aka Mega Man Legends, could make it on? Considering that Mega Man made it on the the NES and the SNES Classic, and have you all played the Legends series at all? And your thoughts on that? Thanks. Bye.
I feel like we need to devote what I would just call the Mega Man corner. Right, where it's just Marty and it's just like a call-in show all related to Mega Man. I think we should do that.
I'm fine with that. Warren, thanks for this question. Honestly, to answer your question, I think the chances of it actually happening could be pretty good. And follow my logic here. There's a lot of beloved N64 games that Nintendo will not be able to get. Right. Perfect Dark, you're not going to be able to get. Donkey Kong 64, you're not going to be able to get. Banjo-Kazooie, maybe not going to be able to get. I think that Microsoft may be willing to work on that a little bit. I mean, they've said put Banjo in Smash, that's fine. But there's a lot of games that people remember. I don't know that they'll be tied up in licensing, right? So what better time for Mega Man Legends to come back than with the N64 Classic? Honestly, beyond Mario 64 and a few others, I really like Star Fox, I guess. Mario Kart 64. I don't really know all that many games that could end up on the system. However, I tend to think that that Mega Man Legends is one of the most underappreciated parts of the Mega Man series. And I played the first one on PlayStation, and never really didn't really get into it, but looking back on it now, I think it was just my taste in gaming and my age at the time. I would probably like it a lot more now. Nice. And so I would actually really look forward to the chance to play that, and hopes that it would jumpstart Mega Man Legends 3. Again, that was a huge blow to the community a few years ago when it was going to come to 3DS, and then all of a sudden, nope, we hate you.
We hate you. Nice.
I mean, do you guys think don't you think that game probably among other third parties probably has a higher chance?
Yeah, I mean, I think the conversation that has to go around the N64 Classic or whatever you're going to call it is that you are right. Publishing and developer and who owns the rights to it. I think unlike the NES and the SNES, there is so much more tied up and fractured with the N64 that Nintendo no longer owns that it's going to be very difficult to kind of work out, maybe hash out some of those agreements. I think you're going to see definitely less games on the N64 Classic than you would on the SNES or the NES, and a lot of that's going to be tied to kind of the publishing and developer rights and agreements that are kind of spread across everything. And I think, when you think of those classic games for that platform stuff, such as Banjo-Kazooie and Perfect Dark and GoldenEye, when you realize that they're not Nintendo-owned games, that becomes a harder conversation for them trying to have. So I think that, it's going to be challenging. I do think the relationship that Capcom is having with Nintendo is getting better. I think Capcom understands the gold mine of content they're living in or they're residing on. And so I think they would definitely try and make try and get on the platform as much as they can.
Yet we still don't have Disney Afternoon.
Well, who knows? Who knows? Yeah. Okay, good, great question. I like it. Let's go over to one last question in our chat from the Patreon folk, from our Discord. I apologize. Let me grab that here. I'm going to scroll through here. The question here comes from, where'd it go? Mr. Zablanc, and asks, what console did you grow up with, and what were the first video games you remember playing? I grew up with the NES, and the first games I remember playing was, of course, Mario, Duck Hunt, and Captain Skyhawk, by the way, was one of my first games. Classic.
Yeah, I think the first video game I ever can remember, have a memory of playing is Centipede on an arcade cabinet. But I had no clue that video games could be something you played at your house until I went to my friend Jason's house when I was 7 years old, and he had an NES. And he was playing Rad Racer and Super Mario. And he would not let me play because he's a big jerk. But the next year, I think, or maybe I was 8, and we moved somewhere in there. But the first Christmas after we moved, I got an NES with Mario, Duck Hunt, and the track and field game with the power pad. And that's the infamous peed my pants on Christmas morning story.
Nice.
So I actually got Karnov with that game too, which I don't know what about that game made my parents go, yes, our son would love a game about a fat, shirtless Russian man who breathes fire and fights monsters. Now that I say that, what wouldn't I like about that except that it was freaking hard, and I would have rather had Zelda or whatever, but I didn't even know what Zelda was at that time.
Yeah, that's great.
But the very first NES game I ever played was Super Mario Brothers.
Nice.
And that set the course of my history.
Nice. I see Wario in the chat is definitely recognizing the blast in the past on that one as well. That's great. Jesse, obviously, because you're wicked older than the rest of us, I imagine they didn't have video games when you were growing up at all, and it was just playing with potatoes. But what did they potentially have?
Yeah, I think my first experience with a video game was in an arcade. I wouldn't probably a Pac-Man or something along those lines, but I think that the first home console game was on the Intellivision. I remember, I think I have two memories as possibly being my first one. I think it was Space Armada, which is like their Space Invaders clone. Mm-hmm. And then we got baseball, and I remember the first time I tried playing baseball, I didn't know the controls. My parents are trying to teach me how to play, while they've already played because they played with each other while we're sleeping before I knew we had this thing. So it was literally like 160-0 before we finally called it quits.
Nice.
But I eventually did get good at the game and was able to kick their butts.
That's awesome. Good. Great set of questions that came in, guys. Thank you so much for contributing to that. We appreciate it. We do Community Spotlight every single week. So if you want to email us or voicemail or tweet us, we would love to answer these questions. And sorry if we missed a couple, guys. We apologize. We're going to try and make more of a concerted effort to make sure that we include them regularly as well. Now we're getting close to almost a 2-hour show, but I don't want to, like, you all came here. You came here for the show. And of course, I don't want to leave before we talk to Mr. Marty Estes about his time with the Mega Man 11 demo. So Marty, first, actually, Jesse, I'm sure we've got music for this. We always got music for what you've been playing. Awesome, thank you. So I want to be cautious of time. Let's try and keep all of our impressions down to about 2 minutes or less on what we've been playing. So I'm gonna push you to that one there, Marty.
Even though it's Mega Man 11, I can do that. So the Mega Man 11 demo dropped today for Switch. It's coming out as you hear this today for Xbox One and PS4. Guys, the only thing I can say about this is it's exactly what I hoped it would be. It plays, it feels fast, it feels snappy. The controls are super responsive. The gear system is absolutely necessary. They built the levels where you have to use the gears, but they made it simple to use. It's pretty easy to get used to. The way the game plays, I love some of the little changes that they made. Y to shoot, B to jump, down and B to slide. The X button is now permanently a rush coil button, so it will always call the dog and will always provide a platform spring for you to jump on. And then L and R or ZL and ZR change your weapons back and forth. L and R activate the gears. L for the power gear, which adds an extra like powered up shot to your fully charged shot. R for the speed gear, which slows down time for everyone but you. And the timer on these is super short. And if the bar fills all the way up, it shorts out, and you're not able to use your gears at all, even though it will go down, over time, but not as fast as it filled up. And you can collect bolts and things. I'm gonna imagine you can do upgrades on that, to make it drain slower as the game goes on. But it only gives you one stage. You get to play the Blockman stage all the way through to the very end. If you get to fight Blockman, I have not fought Blockman yet. I cannot make it to him. And I'm playing on the normal difficulty, like just it said, this is for fans of the Blue Bomber who've always played Mega Man. So I decided to try that first. And so it's hard, but I didn't get frustrated with it. I didn't have a whole lot of time to spend with it, or I probably would have finished it before coming to record tonight. But guys, it's glorious. The music's great. The animation's absolutely fantastic. The redesign on Mega Man. And I realize saying all this, y'all are probably sitting there going, "You're biased." But here's the thing. Try it. It's free.
Yep.
Right? I love that they've done this.
So I will say this, Marty. As soon as I woke up, I actually woke up about 25 minutes earlier than I normally do for the podcast. I went down, I downloaded it, and I played it while we were waiting here. And everything this man says, despite being complete biased super fan, is 100% correct. This, as a casual Mega Man player and a pretty good 2D platformer, this is absolutely what I wanted this game to be. And it just took a little bit of me kind of readjusting my controls a little bit and that gearing, right, for sure. Yeah. But it feels familiar enough, but with kind of like a new layer on top of it that makes it feel really, really crisp and good. I already knew I was going to download it and pick it up. This is an instant yes for me. I have enjoyed it. I'm going to go back to playing it again. So yeah, Marty, let me ask you this: so are you going to capture some footage for this? Because I think people want to hear you playing it.
Yeah, I can definitely do that.
I think that would be smart for our channel.
Look for some stuff on our YouTube channel tomorrow.
Okay. Also, as a reference point, people, 2 minutes and 15 seconds. Nice job, Marty. Nice job on that.
I tried.
You did great. I appreciate that. You've also been playing Hyper Light Drifter today.
So we got a review copy of Hyper Light Drifter from Abbey Light Software. I love this game. It's like a top-down Zelda, like a 2D Zelda almost, but it's set in like this post-apocalyptic world where everything is like dried up and there's some disease that everybody or everything has, but you coming into this world, you get it too. And so Drifter you're trying to move the Drifter around and trying to find a cure for the disease, but also not just to cure them, but to cure yourself, right? And so it's super difficult. I'm not gonna lie. I'm a little bit frustrated with it. The game starts you off, and there is a little bit of a tutorial about how to use. The drifter has a sword. You eventually pick up a gun. The way that you use the gun is by charging. You have charge shots, right? So you can have so many bullets. You get those by defeating enemies and breaking objects in the world. And so, I mean, and then you have I guess a light teleport, and eventually you find out you can do this multiple times, or you can get more bullets and have bombs and stuff like that. But after the tutorial, your character blacks out and you wake up and there's literally no direction about what to do next. And that frustrated me from the very beginning. At least, show me where the first thing I've got to find is, right? At least point me in the right direction, or tell me I'm going the right direction. My assumption was, hey, it's letting me progress in this direction, so surely I must be doing something right? So there's absolutely zero dialogue in this game so far to tell me I'm doing anything. Even the tutorial, quote unquote, didn't tell me what to do. I just had to play around with the buttons. So I don't know if they did that as an intentional design choice to make it, tough or whatever, but it ended up just quite frankly, just pissed me off, because I was just like, I've heard so much good about this game, and you drop me in and there's nothing. So for me, and not having much time to spend with it this week, I'm going to say this: the jury for me is still out.
Okay, you're going to have some gameplay footage up on our channel for that.
Yeah, I am, and hopefully by the time I come back next week, I'll be able to tell you whether I like this game anymore or not. Yeah. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm not sitting here saying I never want to play this game again. I'm going to spend time with it. I like it. It's just I want to know if I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing.
Right. Yeah, that's fair. That's absolutely fair. So, guys, more information coming on that one. And in all fairness, Marty, you've only had the game for about a day. We got the code day before release, so you've been very busy. So we appreciate that as well. I did want to ask a quick follow-up question that you and I asked a little bit in the pre-show. Is it harder, do you think, than Dead Cells? Dead Cells, from what you've experienced so far?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think that's comparing apples and oranges, because in Dead Cells, one of the key elements is you have that roll. Which, a lot like Enter the Gungeon, lets you avoid damage if you do it right. Yeah. The light drift ability in Hyper Light Drifter doesn't necessarily help you avoid damage. It just helps you get the crap out of the way when you need to.
Okay.
And both games overwhelm you at times, and both games, are challenging and difficult. But Dead Cells, there's the promise that if you can just press on just a little bit more, right, you can find an item, or you can find stuff. I'm not seeing that yet in Hyper Light Drifter. Okay,
that's fair. Good. So we'll expect more coverage from that next week. As an FYI, 2 minutes and 54 seconds. So well done. I appreciate that. Jesse, let's head over to you. Is there anything new that you've been playing that you want to talk about? Anything new?
No, I don't have anything new. I did want to talk about one small thing.
Sure.
That so I was one of the YouTube channels I subscribe to runs a series called Boss Keys, which goes through old games, talks about their level design and how they're organized, and kind of says that why he thinks it's a good choice or bad choice. They recently did an episode on Super Metroid, so it made me go, I want to play Metroid again. So I busted out my the version of Metroid Fusion I have from the Ambassador program. So I played a little bit of that.
Nice.
And
that's a great one.
When Marty was saying that he dropped into this world and no seemingly idea where he's going, which is the exact opposite of what Metroid Fusion does, because it will lock you off into areas, so you have to go this way. At least in the beginning. At least in the beginning of the game.
Yeah. Okay. Great. Awesome. 53 seconds. Nice. Thank you.
You're welcome.
You've saved us time. I already talked a little bit about Mega Man that I've been playing. The other game I have been playing is Planet Alpha. which is out on the Nintendo Switch. Came out, I believe, yesterday, or at least earlier this week, which is fantastic. We were so or the developer was so kind, and Team 17 to send us over a review copy or early access. I do have some gameplay footage of this on our YouTube channel, and I had played this over in Gamescom 2 weeks ago. And this was on our list of top 3 indie games that you need to be looking out for. And it is, if you like Inside and you like No Man's Sky, this is a great game that mixes those two things together. And it is a story-based platforming puzzler. Again, the best way literally the best way I can describe it is if you played Inside, it's that kind of, you walk to the right, you need to solve puzzles. There's no shooting, there's none of that, and you have to escape kind of being found by the aliens. There's a story there that's engaging, and you want to learn more about it, and it has a beautiful art style in the background. So that is Planet Alpha. It is out now. I would definitely recommend checking it out if you kind of like those games. Again, the art style is absolutely, it does feel like you've been dropped right into No Man's Sky. It's just incredible. Yeah, really cool.
Hey, Jesse, just a little point of news right here while I know we've already done that, but you were asking about Final Fantasy 15 Pocket Edition and how much it would cost and different things like that. Pages for it are up on our competitors on the Xbox and the PS4 right now, where on both systems the game is on sale for $17.99. That is 40% off the regular price of $29.99.
There you go.
So whether or not we'll get a discount for Nintendo is yet to be seen. These are both pre-purchase prices.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, with no release dates.
There you go. That's fair. Guys, that is it for what we have been playing. Marty, why don't you take us out of here?
I will. Guys, we want to thank you again for listening to episode 105 of Nintendo Dads.
195.
Yeah. That's right. That's what I said. I said 195. Let's keep going. Again, huge thanks to our Patreon producers, David White, Dave Ernsberger, and Timothy Off. You can head over to patreon.com/Nintendo Dads to be like them and support us. You can follow us on Twitter at Nintendo Dads, like us on Facebook at Nintendo Dads, follow us on Instagram at Nintendo Dads. Basically, we're Nintendo Dads on all of our social media. You can find us at Twitch at twitch.tv/Nintendo Dads. Email us at nintendodads@gmail.com, and we'll answer your question on the show. Also, you can find us on YouTube at youtube.com/C/Nintendo Dads. Call in and leave us a voicemail like Mr. Warren Akers at 929-25-NDADS. That's 929-256-3237. And if you want to, you can buy sweet Nintendo Dads merchandise at tiny.cc/Nintendo Dads store, all lowercase. We want to say a big thanks to OC Remix for the music throughout the show. You can download the show at iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play Music, and check us out over at bgtribune.com. And as always, thanks to Carter Johnson and Adam Leonard for all their amazing artwork they've done for the show. For me, for Jesse, for Justin, for absent Zach, and sleeping Gary, we'll see you next week. Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to Nintendo Dads.
Wobble Puffet? Wobble Buffet? Pew pew, pew pew.
Pew 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 pew.
I thought that was a secret hidden pew 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 pew.
Oh.